All right, so today we're going to be doing a deep dive
Yeah.
into something that, I have to admit, when you sent me this article,
Mm-hmm.
I was a little skeptical.
Yeah.
Like, how much can there really be to say about woodpeckers?
Right.
But I have to say, after reading this, I'm looking at these birds in a whole new way.
Yeah. It really is fascinating to think about the fact that something as simple as a woodpecker pecking at a tree can have so many layers of meaning.
Right, and that's exactly what we're going to be exploring in this deep dive. So
Uh,
let's just jump right in here. So, we always see woodpeckers pecking away at trees, but
yeah.
this article really highlights the fact that across so many cultures, woodpeckers are seen as these symbols of new beginnings,
Absolutely.
opportunity.
It's almost like they're tapping into this hidden potential waiting to be discovered.
Right, and they're finding sustenance in places that we would never even think to look.
Right.
So it's a really interesting metaphor, I think, just from the get-go.
Yeah, and what I think is so fascinating is when you start to break down the symbolism even further, like this article does, looking at different types of woodpeckers.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics here.
Yeah, so let's start with the downy woodpecker.
Okay.
This little guy is often associated with fresh starts and second chances.
Really, even a downy woodpecker.
Oh, yeah.
That's so interesting because, I always think of woodpeckers as being these
Yeah.
powerful,
Yeah.
driven birds. But the downy woodpecker is so tiny.
Well, and that's what's interesting, right? It's like even something small can embody this concept of new beginnings and
Right.
kind of starting over.
So if a downy woodpecker can represent such a powerful concept, what about something like a pileated woodpecker?
Ah, the pileated woodpecker.
The big
The big guy, yeah.
guy.
They're known for their persistence and their focus.
Okay.
I mean, think about it. They're often found nesting in old trees,
Right.
places that a lot of other birds would probably overlook.
Yeah, they don't seem to be afraid of anything.
No, they see potential where others might not, and they just work tirelessly to achieve their goals.
So I guess you could say they're kind of like that friend who's always pushing you to go for it no matter what.
Exactly.
Okay, that's a good analogy.
And then you have the red-bellied woodpecker,
Okay.
which embodies trust and self-reliance.
Okay, how so?
Well, they create homes in dead trees,
Well,
highlighting their ability to really thrive even in challenging circumstances.
that actually reminds me of a time when I had to make a really big career change.
Mm-hmm.
And, it felt really risky at the time,
Right.
but it turned out to be the best decision I ever made.
Wow, that's awesome.
But maybe that was my red-bellied woodpecker moment.
Maybe it was. Yeah, sometimes you just have to trust your gut,
Right.
and carve your own path, just like the red-bellied woodpecker.
Okay, so we talked about the downy woodpecker. We talked about the pileated. We talked about the red-bellied, whatever the red-headed woodpecker.
Ah, yes, the red-headed woodpecker.
That's a striking bird.
They definitely make a statement with that bright red head.
Yeah, they do. But what does that translate to symbolically?
Well, they're known for their resourcefulness,
Okay.
especially their ability to store food.
Okay.
It's really interesting. So it kind of reminds us that we have that power within ourselves to achieve our goals,
Right.
especially if we tap into our own creativity
Mm-hmm.
and find those innovative solutions.
It's funny how all these woodpeckers, even though they're different species, all seem to have this common thread
Yeah.
of resilience,
Mm.
of opportunity. It's like they're all saying, hey,
Yeah.
there's more out there,
Absolutely.
and you have the strength to go get it.
Yeah, and this idea of resilience takes on kind of a different form with the black and white woodpecker.
Okay, how so?
Their contrasting colors actually symbolize balance and harmony.
Interesting.
Kind of a reminder that, life is full of light and dark, good and evil,
Right.
and finding that balance is essential.
It makes me think of the yin and yang symbol. It's all about finding that equilibrium.
Right, it's about embracing that duality of life
Right.
and recognizing that both the positive and the challenging aspects contribute to our growth.
I like that.
Yeah.
So we've got the downy woodpecker, new beginnings, pileated woodpecker, persistence and focus,
Mm-hmm.
red-bellied woodpecker, trust and self-reliance, red-headed woodpecker, resourcefulness,
Right.
and the black and white woodpecker, balance and harmony.
It's amazing how these birds can hold so much meaning.
It really is, and we're just getting started.
Yeah.
We still have so much more to uncover in this deep dive into the world of woodpecker symbolism.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back after a quick break. Before we started recording, we were talking about how woodpeckers even have significance in biblical traditions.
That's right, they do.
So tell me about that.
Well, in the Bible, many birds are seen as messengers from the divine,
Okay.
and woodpeckers are no exception.
So they're kind of like these symbols of truth,
Yeah.
persistence, careful
Yes.
provision.
Exactly. It's like this reminder to trust in a higher power,
Okay.
to have faith that you'll be provided for,
Hmm.
even in those challenging times.
So it's interesting how it all ties back to that determination, that focus that we were
Yeah.
talking about before.
Absolutely. And that you have the strength to keep going,
Right.
to keep picking away at those obstacles until you break through.
It's almost like the woodpecker saying, hey, keep the faith, you got this.
Exactly. And this connection to the spiritual realm is something that's echoed in many Native American cultures as well.
Okay, so tell me about that.
Yeah. So in these traditions, woodpecker feathers hold particular significance.
Okay.
They're often used in ceremonies and rituals,
Okay.
symbolizing this connection to nature and the power of the spirit world.
It's fascinating how these different cultures, separated by vast distances in time, see such similar meaning in these birds.
I know, it's really amazing.
So what kind of specific symbolism do those feathers hold?
Well, for Native Americans, woodpecker feathers embody persistence, energy, guidance, and opportunity.
So it's like carrying a piece of that woodpecker wisdom
Yeah,
energy with you.
exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about how different cultures view woodpeckers, but what about personal experiences? Like, what does it mean if you see a woodpecker out in the world?
Well, in many cultures, seeing a woodpecker is considered a sign of good luck
Oh,
and opportunity.
really?
Yeah, it's like the universe is nudging you, saying, hey, pay attention.
Okay.
Something good is coming your way.
Speaking of seeing a woodpecker, I actually had an encounter with a downy woodpecker just the other day.
Oh, really?
He was in my backyard, poking away at our old oak tree.
Wow.
And now I'm thinking, was it trying to tell me something?
Well, perhaps it was. I mean, remember, the downy woodpecker is associated with new beginnings,
Right?
second chances. Maybe it was a sign to embrace change or start a new project you've been putting off.
That's making me rethink that whole encounter.
Yeah.
I have been feeling a bit stuck lately, so maybe it was a little feathered message from the universe.
It's possible.
Okay, so what about woodpecker dreams?
Dreams.
Those have to mean something, right?
Dreams are always a fascinating area to explore.
Mm-hmm.
Dreaming of a woodpecker can have a variety of interpretations,
Okay.
depending on the type of woodpecker and other details in the dream.
Okay.
But they often symbolize communication,
Oh, okay.
opportunity, and the need to pay attention to your inner voice.
So it's like the woodpecker is tapping on the door of your subconscious, say, hey, wake up. There's something you need to hear.
That's a great way to put it. It's a reminder to listen to your intuition
Right.
and to be open to those new possibilities that might be presenting themselves.
As we're talking about all this, it makes you wonder about the woodpecker's personality.
Mm-hmm.
They seem so determined and resourceful,
Yeah.
but also quite aggressive at times, right?
That's an interesting observation, and you're right. While woodpeckers do symbolize community and opportunity, they're also known for their territorial behavior.
Okay.
They can be quite fierce when defending their nests or competing for resources.
So there's kind of this duality to them.
Yeah.
This strength and resilience that can manifest in both positive and, well, slightly less positive ways.
Exactly. It reminds us that strength and assertiveness are important qualities.
Right.
But it's all about finding that right balance.
Mhm.
Just like with the black and white woodpecker, finding that harmony is key.
It's amazing how these little creatures can hold such complex symbolism.
I know. It's pretty incredible.
We've covered so much ground already.
We have.
Different species, cultural interpretations,
Yeah.
dreams, even their personality.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing how much depth there is to this topic.
It really is. It really is remarkable how much we can learn from nature.
It's true, even from something as ordinary as a woodpecker.
Right.
I feel like before this deep dive, if I saw a woodpecker, I'd just be like, well, there's a bird pecking at a tree.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing them in a whole new light.
That's the beauty of symbolism, right? It
Yeah.
allows us to see the world around us in new ways and to connect with those deeper meanings.
Absolutely. So I guess the big question as we wrap up this deep dive is, what does all this woodpecker symbolism mean for us?
That is a great question.
How can we apply these lessons to our own lives?
Well, think about all the themes that we've discussed today. Persistence, resilience, opportunity balance.
Right.
These are all qualities that can really empower us to live more fulfilling lives.
For example, that image of the pileated woodpecker relentlessly pecking away at that old tree until it finds what it's looking for.
Right.
That's a powerful metaphor for pursuing our dreams.
It really is. It reminds us that we have that inner strength to overcome obstacles
Mhm.
and achieve our goals, even if it takes time and effort.
Right. We just have to keep pecking away at those challenges, just like the woodpecker does.
Exactly.
And what about that idea of new beginnings, especially with the downy woodpecker? It's almost like a permission slip to let go of the past and embrace those new possibilities,
I love
no
that.
matter where we are in life.
I completely agree. Every day is a chance to start fresh,
Right?
to try something new, to step outside our comfort zones.
Hmm.
The downy woodpecker reminds us that it's never too late to create a new beginning for ourselves.
This deep dive has really made me think about those times when I felt stuck or hesitant to make a change.
Yeah,
Maybe I needed to channel my inner woodpecker a bit more.
perhaps we all do from time to time.
And remember, the woodpecker doesn't just represent new beginnings,
Yay.
but also that importance of trusting our instincts.
Absolutely. Just like the red-bellied woodpecker carving out its own unique path.
It's so easy to get caught up in what other people think
Mm-hmm.
or to doubt our own abilities. But the woodpecker teaches us to trust that inner voice
Yeah.
and to have the courage to create our own path.
Precisely. And let's not forget the black and white woodpecker.
Right.
That beautiful symbol of balance and harmony. In today's world, it's so easy to get swept up in the chaos
Yeah.
and lose sight of what truly matters.
It's like we need to take a cue from the woodpecker and find that equilibrium
Exactly.
between work and rest, ambition and contentment,
Yeah.
logic and intuition.
You hit the nail on the head.
It's about finding that sweet spot where we can thrive and live a life that feels both meaningful and balanced.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into woodpecker symbolism,
Mm.
I'd like to leave our listeners with this.
Okay.
The next time you see a woodpecker drumming on a tree, take a moment to really appreciate its message.
Mm-hmm.
What resonates with you most?
Right.
What can you learn from this remarkable creature?
Remember, the beauty of symbolism is that it's personal. The meaning you find in the woodpecker's story is unique to you and your journey.
I like that.
Embrace that and let it inspire you to live a life full of purpose, resilience, and opportunity.
This has been such a fascinating exploration, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have.
Me too.
Until next time, keep your ears open, your minds curious,
Yes.
and remember to look for those deeper meanings hidden in the world around us.